I think they have a very valid viewpoint from the industry perspective and from academic perspective. Fortunately, unfortunately, I'm not an academician, neither is PwC, but what we try and support is looking at how can we improve the system from a process, capacity, and learning from each other perspective. And that is what I wanted to present today. We've done a paper which will be released in just a little while on the status of education in Telangana, covering both school education and higher education. And we've tried to identify, so Telangana as a state, it's the youngest state in the country. I'm sorry, can we have the presentation? Right? The presentation, sorry. So Telangana is the youngest state in the country, we all know. And it's done great strides in the last 10 years of its existence, right? 10 years back, the GR of Telangana, especially in the school education, lagged behind the national average. It was way behind the other South Indian states. Today, it's far ahead of that. You've done well in reaching that stage. It's a fairly young population. 40% of the population is under the age of 25. These are people who would be interested in education. In all parameters in terms of economy, in terms of economic growth, Telangana has done well, better than the national average in most cases, right? However, where do we lack? One of the questions or topics which were given to us was what should be the vision for Telangana education system, right? Do we have an answer in the report today? No. We just want to leave you with some of the viewpoints that we could think of. Can we look at, when we look at people like Australia, when we look at states like Karnataka, which are states right next to you, a large part of the GDP and the economy itself is driven by education. In fact, Australia, there was this one report which said education is the third largest sector of the economy, purely by the revenues generated. Education in India is a public good. We're not looking at the revenue generated directly by the fees paid by the students. But what it does help is Australia, another report mentioned that almost 30% of the tourism revenue happened because of the education sector. So you get one student admitted into Australia, you have people, their relatives, their friends traveling to Australia to meet over the next 4 year period. So can we look at education as a sector which gives a certain percentage of the economic growth? It could be driven by the inbound students from other states, it could be revenue from there, it could be the research outcomes. Today, the industry and the academia are working in silos. The industries don't give solutions to problems. The academia is looking at research progress. Can the two of them work together to build a multiplier effect with their research? It could be in terms of incubations and jobs created at the universities. So there's a direct impact on the economy. And in my view, that should be the vision for the higher education system. The other part, again, there are universities in the world where the stated goal of the university, I could speak about University of New South Wales in Australia, where the vision is to have 5 Nobel laureates from the university over the next 30 years. That's a very strong statement to make, but they are working towards it. They've created research ecosystem. And again, out here we could talk about the state developing, let's say, the first Nobel laureate. You have enough research ecosystem in the country, right? You have enough industry in the country and Telangana to develop that. And finally, solving the local challenges. You have a lot of economic activity happening in Telangana and the surrounding areas. Can the academia support them and help? So I'm not getting into the GR ratios. I'm not trying to get into saying X number of people into NIRF. Yes, those are short-term benefits. But I believe the objective of education should be to create wonders for the education. Now coming specific to the school education segment, like I said, GR of Telangana has moved ahead of national average and in fact most of the South Indian states as well, right? It's very, very inclusive. So if I look at the GR across SC, ST, minorities, it's still better. The parent-teacher ratio, the pupil-teacher ratio in Telangana schools is one of the best in the country. Unfortunately, the dichotomy here is Telangana also has the maximum number of single teacher schools as a percentage.